Hi, I'm Ronak Patel, and this is my final presentation for English 112. My discourse community this semester has been financial analysts and practitioners, and my research asks a pretty uncomfortable question about them. Why are their forecasts so often wrong in the same direction? First, who is this community? Financial analysts are the professionals at brokerage houses and banks who forecast how much money public companies will earn, and who rate their stocks as buy, hold, or sell. The people who rely on them, retail investors and huge institutional fund managers, are part of the community too. And the value they all claim to trade in is accuracy. That word matters because my research is about a place where the community keeps failing in its own standard. Here's the problem. For decades, analysts have leaned toward unrealistic optimism, consistently overestimating how well companies will perform. This isn't a small technical glitch. Real capital moves on these numbers, so an inflated estimate can hit a shift billions of dollars that never should have carried that weight. So I asked what causes it and what actually fixes it. The first cause is a conflict of interest. Many analysts work at firms that also want investment banking businesses for the very companies being rated. Chan and his co authors found the analyst forecasts are influenced by the desire to win those banking clients on page 893. Publish an unflattering forecast, damage the relationship, risk your job, and they found it got worse during the 1990s bull market when the payoff for landing banking deals was the highest. The second cause is career incentives. Hong and Kubik tracked analysts' jobs across their record and found that controlling for accuracy, optimistic analysts were more likely to get favorable job moves on page 313. The effect was strongest for analysts covering their own firm's unwritten stocks. So optimism isn't really a personal flaw, it's a career strategy in the industry trains into people. Now the solutions. The first is structural. After the early 2000 scandals, the global analyst research settlement forced firms to wall research off from investment banking. Cadden and his co-authors found that afterward, optimistic recommendations became less frequent and more informative. Page 4189, remove the incentive and the bias measurably drops. The second solution targets how research is funded. In France, commission sharing agreements unbundled research fees from trading commissions. Galanti and Valuborg found the optimism bias declined significantly afterwards, page 325. Importantly, this held even after accounting for the global settlement, so the two fixes work through different channels and can be layered. Here's what surprised me the most about researching solely inside the community. I expected the fix to be analysts should just have been more honest. It wasn't. The community diagnoses its problem structurally. It assumes that it is the incentives pointed towards optimism. People will be optimistic, so you can change your incentives, not the character. The other surprise was how the community argues. Nobody is persuaded by any nice sentence, they are persuaded by large sample data. Writing in this discipline meant meeting that evidence standard was not really being talked around about. So, am I still interested? More than when I started. I came in thinking finance was mostly numbers. What pulled me in is that it's really about human behavior inside systems. How quietly an incentive can bend an entire profession away from its own stated value. That's the part I want to keep studying. Okay, so here's my takeaway. Optimism bias isn't a story about dishonest people, it's structural. And structural fixes like separating research from banking and unbundling fees produce real change. And for anyone new to 112, joining a discourse community means learning what community counts as proof. Thanks for watching.